Hey guys, so we're looking at Tom Holland and Zendaya's chart today, and because they're pretty much the same age, they're going to have a lot of the outer planets in the same signs or closely conjunct, which can kind of add some compatibility if they're not afflicted, but it does depend what aspects are going to those planets. So with their Saturn's conjunct, it means in Aries that they can work well together. They can be very professional together, and we've seen that in the movie that they made together, so that's really good. And even with their Jupiter's conjunct there in Capricorn, so their belief systems and what gives their life meaning is pretty much on the same page. It's about working hard, achieving higher success and status and things like that. So they're both aiming high. So with their sun squaring, she's a Virgo and he's a Gemini. It's not that compatible because their essential natures, their egos, their life goals can be very different and sometimes in conflict with one another's. It can take some time to sort of realize this about your personalities over time within a relationship, but with squaring and in conjunct suns, you kind of do eventually see you're on different paths, or you have very different goals and ways of seeing the world. So it's not incompatibility on its own. Obviously it depends on the rest of the synastry, but that alone doesn't quite mean that you're lining up in that way. So we'll see if there's other things in their chart to keep them together. So the thing is with this square and the planets involved, a square by nature, it means that they're not compatible signs, but they're of the same modalities. So they have something in common. That's the thing with a square. It causes tension, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. You can use the modality to find common ground, which is they're both mutable and they're both ruled by Mercury as well. So meaning they can both be mercurial in nature. So they may come together with jokes and sayings and observations and conversations, and just sort of that mental stimulation was quite exciting and good for them both, which they both like. So, but they will just do this in different ways. And this is seen by Zendaya being mainly ruled by a lot of earth in her chart. She's got a grand trine there with Jupiter, her sun, and her moon all in earth. So she's very grounded, very considerate, practical, efficient, and methodical. And his sun being in Gemini, it really makes him a bit of a big kid at heart always. He's sort of very youthful, very sweet, full of energy, and Geminis can get quite restless, you know, compared to Earth, which is very grounded. He may become quite restless without a lot of stimulation or moving. This aspect I'm going to talk about is probably the main thing holding them together, because she will need a lot of comfort and familiarity in her relationships with a Cancer Venus, and his sun is in her house of Cancer, being the 4th house, making him feel very homey, very familiar, being very comfortable around him. I think this is the main thing that really attracts her to him. And this aspect carries some weight to it. You know, you may not have a lot of other compatibility in your synastry, but if you have a sun in your 4th house, someone that feels like they should be family, you know, it can make you want to marry them or have kids with them. And sometimes this can happen despite a lot of other difficulties, and it would depend on the natal personality if that is something that you're really wanting to pursue in your life, you know, a home, family, stability, emotional security and comfortability with your partner. For some people that's of the utmost importance. And with Zendaya, I would say that would be true. And with this aspect as well, it can also remind us of a family member we already have as well, maybe her dad or someone. But essentially it's just someone that's very familiar, like someone that you can just be the most comfortable with and share your private life with. Though in saying that about having the family and everything together, I don't know how likely it is with this couple, just because there's not a lot of Saturn aspects. There's like a few, there's a little sextile from the Saturn to the Sun to Tom Holland's Sun. So Zendaya will probably have quite a lot of loyalty and stability and bring in that sort of more longevity aspect to the relationship. But you never know, because the thing is with some incompatibilities in the synastry chart is the thing that can sometimes bond people together, because you are different and because it is difficult, especially if in the natal personality you've got some tough things with your Venus. You might need to work through some tough relationships. You know, that might be a real thing you're meant to learn from to grow, in order to grow. But for really good, solid longevity and compatibility over the long term, you do want a few good aspects, some Saturn, some Venus, maybe even some Sun, nice aspects. Jupiter's as well. It's really nice if you can feel like you're expanding together. And also in the moon signs, you kind of want to see them compatible. It means you can live together well, and there's a bit of harmony there in the home. So in saying that their moons are likely to be in conjunct, I don't have Tom Holland's time of birth, but he would either be like 28, 29 degree Scorpio moon, but it's more likely he's going to be some degree of a Sagittarius moon, meaning by sign their moons are in conjunct. So again, there's a lot of differences with in conjunct there. They have no modality, they have no element, nothing in common with those signs. So at home or to live together would be quite difficult. It would need a lot of working around the other's schedule and the other person's way of doing things and their habits. And with the moon, it's their differences in the way of finding comfort as well. So the way they seek comfort, support and care and nourishment, having different diets, different times, ways of eating, sleeping, doing all those things that make you feel cozy at home. And Zendaya might seem a little easier to please in this way because, you know, it might just be some good food, some good rest, and she's happy. She's got a nice exalted Taurus moon. So the moon is very happy in Taurus and just loves good food, good quality things, a calm environment. But Tom's needs are a little more complex because he has a moon in Sag. So a little more complex, you know, potentially frustrating for Zendaya because, you know, she doesn't have any Sagittarius energy herself, and his Sag moon really needs excitement and movement and adventure. He needs to sort of constantly feel fulfilled and emotionally happy and nourished, to be like there's some room for him to grow into, somewhere to go and explore and something to learn, you know, always expanding his horizons. And because he's very young still as well, he probably just feels like he's got endless ground to cover in his life. Can't wait to sort of see what he can do and achieve with his career and things like that. And they are the same age, but I feel like she would maybe want to settle down a little earlier than him. And the thing is, our moon is our most vulnerable part of our chart. It's something that we really feel like we need to protect. So when our moon signs aren't compatible, it can make it hard to feel sort of supported and nurtured in the way that we need, unfortunately. His sun trining her Chiron, I like to see some nice Chiron aspects in synastry. It's very healing, it's very soothing to see that in a relationship. So he can help her overcome some past hurts, some insecurities and things like that. They may share also a similar story of being hurt in relationships before, with both of their Chirons being in Libra. And also Tom's sun is already trining his own natal Chiron, so he gets that. He can understand the feeling of his ego being beaten down maybe, or feeling less confident in relationships because of relationship struggles and things like that. So he has a beautiful amount of compassion and understanding in relationships. Complicating that a little bit is her Jupiter squaring his Chiron. Both of their Jupiters are squaring each other's Chirons. So that sort of Capricorn mentality they both have to want to do well in their careers and have all of that success, those ambitions can trigger each other a little bit. I wouldn't say necessarily in competitiveness, although they do have both their Saturns there in Aries. It could be just, you know, when it comes to comparing their careers or their success or needing to achieve and do well and feel capable, you know, it could hit a bit of a nerve for both of them. It's like sort of pressure to succeed kind of thing. They've got to be careful not to, or if that does come up, to just deal with that with sensitivity. So then Mars signs are sextile, which is lovely. It means they can get on the same team and have similar energy towards a common goal together and just get it done. It's a bit more than that actually, because, you know, it's actually his Mercury Mars sextile her Venus Mars. So this adds some friendship and some love and attraction. And so it's no wonder they couldn't just be friends. And it's really nice seeing a bit of Earth in his chart, because it really will ground him a lot with that Taurus Mars. It will make his actions a little slower, a little more methodical, which will be more in tune with her, which is good. He probably needs that for more compatibility with her. And sensuality, because she is basically sensuality personified, you know, Earth grand trine, and she's very beautiful. And that Earth energy that they share together is compatible. And she also has this real soft, sort of shy, almost cutesy sort of side when she's in love or in a relationship with that Cancer Mars Venus conjunction, compared to her normal, very chilled, relaxed side. So their love natures are also very different. You know, her Venus in Cancer and his Venus in Gemini. So with their essential personalities being very different, you know, him being more scattered and energetic and lively, and her being more grounded and practical, He also loves in this way, his love nature. He has to have lots of friends, lots of communication, loves to laugh and have fun, see different places and have curiosities and adventures with his loved one. And Zendaya's love nature is more emotional, more sentimental, more family orientated, rather than his is more friends orientated. And she has this real maternal drive in her as well, a lot of Cancer there. So I think having a family one day will be very important for her, and she's not so much into flings, she's more stable, she's more emotional than that. She wants something a bit deeper. So it will depend how well this sextile can help bind them together with this earth-water sextile, because you know, he could fall short a little bit for her, you know, with that emotional depth. Especially with that Sag moon, he might try and avoid or run away from, you know, tougher, deeper emotional conversations, joke his way out of it or around it a little bit, maybe not take things as seriously as what she takes it. And I do want to mention her Mercury trine his Sun, which is a great aspect for friendship and communication. And again, is kind of enhances all this lighthearted and fun and friendly and kind of flirty manner they have together. And then his Sun is then trine her ascendant. So this little air trine they have is just really great. We see a lot of it. Obviously it's on the surface, it's her ascendant. We just see them having fun and being friends a lot together and joking. And that ascendant is a real sensitive point for all of us. So she's really physically feeling his Sun, you know, the way he radiates and shines and is curious and searches for expression and connection with other people. I think she'll really be able to tell if he's feeling confident, if that Sun is really shining, or maybe she'll even see him as more confident than other people see him. So with his Chiron conjunct her North Node, I think this is a big reason why he came into her life, and maybe even why they're together, really is for him to bring a lot of healing and support into her life. And just those life lessons of her Chiron, so how to trust others, you know, allow other people to support her as well, and not do everything on her own with that Aries South Node, but how to be successful with that as well and still stand her ground, so that fine balance. So just quickly, I don't normally do this, but I will take a quick look at their composite chart. The ascendant, it's not going to be so accurate with where everything is placed, so we won't look at the houses of the ascendant because and the moon sign, because we're not 100% sure where that would be. But I like to look at the composite to see long-term compatibility, if there's already a well-established relationship there. And the Sun is in Cancer. So the composite house Sun is like a powerhouse of energy and vitality in the relationship that helps the couple move forward, keep going, be together, really. It's really the goals and how relevant the relationship feels and how you feel alive and connected together. So what sign and house and aspects the Sun has in the composite chart can indicate this, and if that area of life is not being attended to, it can really feel like you're not going anywhere together anymore, and that it can even cause breakup, you know, if that Sun isn't being tended to, the Sun hasn't got that vitality anymore. So wherever it is, it needs to be nurtured. You need to be aware of that composite house Sun. So in Cancer, it means things like memories, homes, family, emotional connections with each other and their loved ones are going to be the most important thing to help bind them together as a couple and keep them moving forward. It's also likely that that Mercury and Venus will also be in Cancer, so just making this even more powerful. There needs to be a promise of commitment, of emotional stability between them, and to be able to rely on each other in that way, that they can be emotional and upset and the other person will have their back, and they won't, you know, shame them for being upset or clingy or attached or, you know, emotional. Also in the composite, the Sun can represent how the more masculine person is doing, the moon, the more feminine person, and how they're doing. So there's not that many aspects to the Sun in the composite, apart from a conjunction to Mercury, which is likely in a lot of composites, but it just sort of means, again, that what keeps it lively for Tom is that talking and the communication, the back and forth, the lightheartedness, the friendship. And though there is a square from Saturn to Venus as well, so that could be tricky a little bit, maybe indicating a conflict in values over time, and that they may, it can also affect sort of the affection between them over time as well, and may feel a little colder, you know, if those values aren't lining up. There starts to be some of that distance, that coldness that they'll need to work on. So yeah, if they do break up, it would be due to that lack of emotional connection and that understanding of values and things like that together. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. Leave a like or comment, and I'll see you soon.